First of all, uh, as a cloud provider, Azure provide us a resource management service. So before going to the Azure resource management template, simply as we know, go to the ARM, we should know about Azure Resource Manager. So anyone have idea what is the Azure Resource Manager? Simply, okay. I'll describe Azure Resource Manager. Simply ARM. It is a service, centralized service that allows us to deploy and manage our resources in Azure Cloud. Uh, Simply centralized service that allows us to deploy our resources in there and let us to manage as we want. How this Azure Resource Manager work? Actually, it has a key characteristic. It has multiple deployment interface. I think some of you may have worked with this interface already. So it has Azure Portal, Azure PowerShell, Azure CLI, and even using a REST client, we can use the services that provide by Azure Resource Manager. So in Azure PowerShell and Azure CLI use their own SDKs to communicate with Azure Resource Manager. In other cases, these all interfaces are connected to the one endpoint that Azure Resource Manager provides. Simply, it is like a service that we can access via different interfaces. So next question is, if it is a service, how it is authenticated? Even when we have a different interfaces, so there should be a way to authenticate that request. So Azure Resource Manager use Azure AD. Azure AD for authenticate that resources request it received, and via the AD it authenticate and then proceed the request. So when processing the request, Azure Resource Manager use another service inside Azure. It is called resource providers. So this Azure Resource Manager directly communicate with resource provider. Like example, if we take a virtual machine has a resource provider, app services has a resource provider, storage account has a resource provider, and SQL servers has resource, like all of the resources have resource providers. So when after the authentication, Azure Resource Manager directly call to the resource providers. So these resource provider can grab our request and the process what we want and present what we want. That means if you want a virtual machine, that Azure Resource Manager will call to virtual machine resource provider. Will then virtual machine resource provider will create a resource for us. So simply every resources will resource creation process is like this. So the base thing to get here is we have several interfaces. These are all of the requests are authenticated with Azure AD, and Azure Resource Manager call with the resource provider to create the resources. So before we understand the resource creation and deployment, we should know the hierarchical scope of how Azure handle the high scope levels. So basically, Azure scope level is start from management group. It can be it name can be different from organization rule or whatever the requirement of that usage of that. So I just name it is as a finance as example, management group. So then this management group has a billing subscription. So you Azure is not a free service, so it is it make a it we have to pay to get it. So to make that payment logical, it use subscription level, like lot. It also depend on your requirement, number of resources you want, and number of the things and the scalability, and every depend on everything. You can determine how many subscription do you want. Normally some of the organization main development, testing and production, and some of organization maintain only development and production. Likewise, even some of organization may have one subscription for all. So these subscriptions can have multiple resource group. uh, so in here I just only mention one subscription and one resource group, but in lot of cases this resource group also can have another, this subscription can also can have another DU something. So each resource group, each subscription can have many resource groups. Within this resource group, we can directly create our resources. So before we are deploying or manage our resource, we should know what is the hierarchical level of our resource belong. So this resource level is our hierarchical level for managing this resource level is the bottom layer of the hierarchy, and we are going to deploy and manage it using Azure templates. Okay, so then now we can come to the topic ARM template, Azure Resource Management Template. So what is the key characteristic? If you look into these ARM templates, there are key characteristics, like it is a unified language for resource management, and it is a declarative approach. Like you never going to say how should it happen, you just describe how should it be look like. So it is a declarative, and it is a simple file. It is a simple file type. I think if you are familiar with ARM templates already, you know it is a simple JSON file. So it is has unified language, and it is has declarative approach, and it is a simple file. Let's move to some examples. So how these ARM templates works. Simply assume you have a resource group that have a virtual machine and a storage account. So if you look into the ARM template for these two resources, it would like that. So you can see it is a simple file format with the JSON. So it would be like this when considering ARM template for that. Already I tell, if you assume we have two different resources in our resource group. So you when you see it, you can see basically common properties there. So some properties are mandatory, but some are not like that. So we go through one by one and look what are these properties and how they are important for ARM resource management. So this is a set of standard properties in the ARM template. So first and most important thing is schema. Schema is a describe properties available in the template, like it is the describe the format of the template. So if you go to the this description URL, you can see the JSON file that describe what are the properties should be in the ARM template. Simply define what should be there and what should not be there. So even when you are working with the ARM template in a some IDE like VS Code or somewhere to IntelliSense to uh, make a suggestion. This schema is really helpful for that. So if we move to the content version, I think you all know we are version our source codes like this. These ARM template can be version like 1.1, 1.1, 1.1.2, 1.1.3. Likewise, we can have a version for this ARM template. So what is the benefit of versioning? You can introduce lot of many new features without breaking early things. I will you can understand it when I explain how nested template works. Uh, but if you are using source control tool like Git or any other source control tool, this versioning might not be helpful much. So but if you are using this file without version controlling tool, you can use this property to the version your ARM templates. So next most important thing is this templates are support for multiple resource deployments. So this resource property has an array of JSON array of resource defined. Here I just visualize two images, but it is also used as a textual representation as a JSON array. For this, I visualize this as a two images. So it can define a multiple resources. Even dependable resources can be declared here. So it is a required. So why we use ARM template is deployed resource. So it is support multiple resources deployments. So next thing is API profile. So what is the API profile? You know the cloud is changing really fast. So each and sometimes periodically they release new features and depreciates all on. So that why API profile is more important. The Azure maintain a resource creation APIs. So uh, if we define a API profile here, so each of the resources you don't need to define an API profile. Even so then if you specify one specific version here, you don't need to specify in resource each and every resource. So what is the important that is the important of that API profile property. So then these templates are support for parameterization. Likewise, think you want to different values in different environment for these templates. Like in test environment, you want to uh, API service test. In dev environment, you want to API service test. Likewise, parameterization. This template are support for parameterization. So you can define the input parameters in here and use them inside of the template. So if you want to dynamical calculated values or dynamical values in a runtime, you have a variable section here. So in here you can use this section you can use for generate dynamic value in runtime, like concatenation, name concatenation. Like simply it is one example is name concatenation. Yep. Likewise you can use this is for dynamic value generation inside ARM template when it is running. So next thing is a function. So it is a custom JSON expressions that allows you to do some custom functionalities. So you can have different functions that helpful for deploy your resources. So even ARM templates has built-in functions, lot of useful built-in functions, and even you can define your own function if you want. So then output section. it is it provides to this output section for returning values, returning variable values from the template. Like think one of your resources create and it will return in some access key or something that relevant to that resource. We can use this output section and we can get out that result from this template. So I would like to move some practical example. I think if anyone go through the Azure portal, when you are going to create some resource, definitely you will see that kind of interface. But this is a minimal interface, really minimal interface here. Uh, I use really minimal interface here for storage account to demonstrate to how this ARM template is can be combined with that UI thing. First, uh, this these ARM templates define the ARM template. This resource section define the type of the resource. In here for storage account, it is a Microsoft dot storage accounts. So when you are using this interface, you don't know this is happening, but internally that kind of thing happening. It is bind to that these properties bind to this kind of request, and internally it goes to the resource manager and create the resource. So in ARM template, the main thing is a first major thing is a type. So type we can bind like this. So if you go into the next property, it will help for resource provider version. As early I mentioned, cloud has rapidly updated. So these resource providers versions, as resource manager version and resource providers version update quickly. So this API version property help to track the resource API version. So the benefit of this, even you are when you are using this resource version, if you are using latest one, you can have the latest features of the this resource, and you are using some low bit older version, you can use these older version properties like but when you are changing this value, you should be precautious about this, because changing it can be a huge mess if you don't know what are the new features and what are the depreciated features in that API version. So it support for that API versioning also in the resource section. So in here, another unique thing in the resource section is name. So actually Azure's resource name is unique. You cannot create the same resources with the same name. So you can see how this name bind to this resource section. And next thing is the location. Like we have several locations in here. Example is so show how central US location. After that, there is a unique properties for this resource, like SKU, simply is stock keeping unit. So this SKU is prepared by combination of performance layer and replication layer. So it is named performance is standard, and the replication is read access geo redundant storage. So there are a list of SKUs for storage account, but you can understand here how it is combined and happen in a template. Then it has, as I mentioned, unique property account kind. This is storage v2 general purpose v2 account, and it has the another unique property called access tier, like how frequently you access. You can define this access tier in Azure storage accounts. I think you can get us the quick idea about how these properties in the resource section match with that UI thing. So when you are going to the Azure portal, you can see this UI, but if you want to understand it in an ARM way, you can have this kind of matching and see how it's mapped. So then I move to the key concept of ARM templates. So how it basically work, ARM template execute via one of these interfaces, as I mentioned first slide. Then it is go to resource group and it is deploy the resources via the help of resource providers. So also it has multiple way of deployment. Like you can use, if you imagine you have 10 resources, four or five resources in your project. So you can have every one of these resources in your one ARM template, or you can have separate ARM template for separate resources. Likewise, you can have separate resources ARM template for separate resources. Uh, for more further, you can have combination of uh, child. I think this most suitable is nested templates and a parent template for this nested template for deployment. Like this nested template orchestrate this child template. These kind of pattern you can use when you are using the ARM templates. So if we go back and see what are the key benefits of using ARM templates, it is a infrastructure as code. I think everyone heard this word, infrastructure as code, and policy and role as code. These policies and roles are also can be manageable within the ARM templates. And it has a declarative syntax. As I mentioned, we never going to say how should it happen. We're just going to say how should it be. Finally, we describe these properties and these values, and we don't know how it is execute. We just describe what we want. And even same ARM template can have repeatable result when it is running over again. As I mentioned, it can have orchestration and it have a built-in validation for schemas and everything. And we can modularize files and we can track the templates with versions. And today, lot of authoring tools are support for templates. Like lot of IDE, lot of extensions are there for supporting to ARM templates. So what are the additional features in ARM template rather than manually go and create the resource inside the Azure? It have function and expressions, and it have a linked nested templates, and it can manage dependencies. Like if you think you have a SQL server and some application depend on it, you can just have a dependencies to depend that app upon that SQL server like this. You can have a reference and you can export this template from Azure Portal easily. So when you can use anywhere then to reproduce your resources as identical, and it has a loops that help for repeatable results, and you can have a conditional deployment even inside Azure templates. So when to use ARM templates? When you are more focusing on application development and maintenance, it is a requirement for maintain your resources. So then you can use ARM template there. And when you are considering CI/CD scenario, that means you can create a separate deliver pipelines for even ARM deployments. And someone who uh, uh, administrate the Azure resources can use the same language to create the policies and roles. So let's move. I think let's move to for some real demo for get more understandable on Azure resources. So I just hope to show you the build template, deployment option, and testing like these simple things using ARM templates. Okay. Uh, okay. Here for the demonstration, I'll use Azure PowerShell interface. Rishi and I try to create a service connection via Azure DevOps, but we unfortunately we couldn't make it because of some
Yeah, permission issues. Yeah.
permission issues. If it is there, I can show you that the real benefit of ARM when using CI/CD. So for there, I will explain you to simply how deploy ARM templates with the different ways here. So first of all, I would like to create a new resource group. So in here, uh, we have some rules in this subscription. I just copy paste the command for to explain you easily. So here there is a when you creating this new Azure resource group command, it is supported by Azure PowerShell, but Azure CLI has different command. I should provide the name and the location, but this tag property is not a mandatory. But in this resource group, it is there's a rule. You should insert this tag. Without that tag, the resource group or anything is not created. So I'll just enter. Yes, it's create the resource group. I think it will take some time to, at least sometimes it will take nearly 30 seconds to likewise time to just, you can see. I'll create that resource group, and there is no resources. So let's move and create some resource here. First, okay, I'll show how you can easily create the resources here. VS Code. In the VS Code, there is a tool called Azure Resource Manager ARM tool. This is a Microsoft tool that help you to easily create a simple ARM templates. Even you can do a lot of things using this extension. Like as I mentioned, lot of these ID today code editors and IDE support for these ARM template. So simply what I want to do, I want new file. I will save as as a JSON file. So just when you are typing ARM, that extension just suggesting me the what I want. So it is just suggests what the ARM template. So it is easily. Then you can move to the resource section and type what is the resource I want to deploy a simple storage account. So when I type in the storage account, it will suggest a storage account, and as I mentioned, it names the storage account one. You can have a unique name here, and it is suggest the type and API version for the resource and the tag display name and the location. Here, this is the built-in function in ARM template. It will retrieve the location where the resource group located. And it kind is storage v2, and this SKU is premium SL, premium R, premium LRS. So I don't want this tire for now, and I will going to change that premium to just standard. Mm, standard to standard GRS, because I don't want premium LRS for now. And also, as our rule in the our resource group, I have to put the tag create by here. So this is a mandatory in this resource group, but it is not optional. It is not mandatory in others, as if it is not mentions in your resource group or rules in your Azure. So I can save this and just directly upload to the Cloud Shell. Or I can do something like this. And open code editor here. Yep. I will. Sorry. I'll just copy paste everything. Now you have a template. You can save it here. I'll save as demo.json. Something wrong with my JSON. Okay. Okay. I can save it as a demo.json. Let's see. It is there. It is there. So there is also a command to deploy Azure template. Okay. This I also copy paste it as easy. New resource group deployment. I have to mention the resource group. I will mention resource group as 99x ARM demo. When I should mention the template file. So I will use demo.json. I just hit enter. So it says this storage account name is already taken. As I said, you cannot create duplicate. Let's see. 99x demo. Let's see it work. Yes. As I said, it has built-in validation. And when you are using the wrong names and wrong things, it will prompt you that you are going to do the wrong things and it is not run. So, look, it is incrementally deployed. Let's see, is it there? It will take some time. Still it is not there. Why? Oh, finally it is there. So it will take some time to affect that resource. Yes, it is there. You can see. If you are going to here, here is option export template. You can see that some advanced template also here as that this part as we deployed, and it adds some additionals uh, to this access tiers and everything, that it is a default one to this template. So this is a one way of deploying it. Then there is another way. There is a Git repo called quick starter templates. In here also you can directly deploy from these templates to the Azure. In here, where's the storage? Okay, I'll get some simple resource from here. You can get any of I'll get this. So from here you can just click in this button. You can directly deploy these templates to Azure, but you have to purchase this service called deployed. I'm not going to purchase it here now. So you can just try it using the settings and everything. I just get what is this resource storage IPS latency true something. I just looking for that storage account, but it is not there. Didn't see it there. So just you can use in this feature also for who are new to ARM. You can try ARM templates using this also. It is using quick start templates. Like there is lot of resources are there. All of I think lot uh, all of kind of resources are there. You can use this if you are a new beginner to Azure. Uh, uh, and I would like to demonstrate you to some new preview feature in template deployment called what if. So this what if, before that I will show you how to use the parameters in templates. In here this parameter section is empty, but I have a pre-prepared parameter. Uh, I'll show you. Yes. Uh, Here we can put parameters here, like these parameters can have default value like this, and max length, because the storage account max length is 24 characters and min length is 3 characters, and the type is string. If you are violate these rules, this parameter will not allowed, and it can have a default value, like. And in here name, using Azure ARM template function, we can use these parameters in our templates, like this storage account name. You can see this. If I deploy this template now, it is, so I think it's a UTC time error. When you enter in this, it will create a resource with default parameter value. It takes some time. I don't know whether it is depend on my network latency or something. It is take sometimes. Sometimes these PowerShells behave like this. But it is created. Uh, it is there. Let's try another time to deploy it. Some issue. Already active. It's already active deployment. Oh, yeah. Let's try it with different name. We can define parameters to this template like this in Azure PowerShell, but you can use also different parameter files. Yeah, it is deployed. Let's see. So you can see with this uh, parameterized value, we can deploy separate. You can see three of the resources are deployed. My first one with the default one, and with the parameter value with the second storage deployed. So in this second storage, I'll going to do some change. I'll going to change this standard GRS to standard. Let's see what is the value we can use for that. I think I can use standard LRS for that. Yes, I can use standard LRS for this value. I'm going to change it to standard LRS. Okay, in here I changed it to standard LRS, then saved it. And also I going to show you the preview level feature called what if. So using the what if, it not run your arm, just differentiate this previous deploy and show the previous deployment and difference between current deployment. So this feature can use to conditional deployment when you want to you don't want to delete anyone, suddenly anyone come and delete your resources. Like you can see it is changing standard LRS GRS to standard LRS. So this what if feature can be more useful when you are doing a conditional deployment. Like you can uh, differentiate and use conditions to avoid and do further steps. I think you can see how you show you see the how it is parameterized, how it can deploy it via the Azure PowerShell. Even you can use Azure CLI, even Portal, and as I show that GitHub repo. And also another valuable resource for ARM templating is this Azure Microsoft reference. It refers all resources with their APIs and deployment and everything. So next is Q&A. So you guys have any question, please ask. We can discuss them.
Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
yeah,
One small question, Machan. Can
yeah.
you explain the how we use that output variable in the ARM templates? I mean, how we use
Uh,
that? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it is like if you deploy the simply think key wallet and you want to key wallet URL.
Yes.
Just then you can put that in output section. You can put I want this key wallet URL using Azure function. No, just I couldn't remember how it exactly
Mhm.
doing. So then you can use it via your CLI tool. Low, even as I mentioned, I try to show you that how we can do the CI/CD pipelining with ARM template deployment. In that kind of scenario, it is really useful. So inside the pipeline, we can use that variable to pass out to another template. Like this
Uh,
output, we can use as a parameter for another template. Simply, we
okay.
can use that
Okay.
output as a. I will give. I will. Even you go to these references, you can see even GitHub references. You can see some of the example for that.
Mhm. Okay.
Yes, I just saw the PowerShell interface only, but you can use even this PowerShell interface can use in the CI/CD pipeline to help to deploy the Azure pipe resources.
Yes, Madhuranga, I just have a small clarification regarding what you doing in your project. Like said that you are using Azure DevOps and with the service connection,
Yeah,
you are deploying.
mm,
So, like you have separate repositories for these Azure resources, and
yeah.
you
We
are
have
maintaining
separate.
it there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
okay, then through build pipeline, you are
Yes.
provisioning the resources accordingly.
Yeah, we are also when you are committed commit you it is like a committing and deploying. If you want
Okay.
to new resources, we maintain some hierarchical structure in that ARM template level, like nested structure, our
Okay.
own structure. If new member want to add to new one command or anyone, if we want to new resource, we just create that resource ARM template and everything, and throughout that our structure we can define this ARM deploy to this. Right. Then we commit it and create a pull request. Then someone reviewed it and merge to master. Then whole ARM template go and deploy the resources you want. It
Okay.
is just it is really simple, but I hope I if I can I show you, but it is a client our client
Yeah.
property, so we can't share that things. But I try to do it you that client credentialing,
Yeah.
but it is not worked here. But the we can get the true value for using this that method actually.
Okay.
This is another session. No, we'll try to do it. However,
Yeah. It's
we
like
can.
scenarios like you can create a managed identity for one resource and assign that managed identity to another on the go, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Using
we are using that. We
output.
are using that.
Okay.
Definitely, we are using in the database level.
Okay.
Actually, in our project, we are don't use SQL username and passwords.
Okay.
We just use managed identity to connect with within the database and the app service and function app everything.
Okay.
So we can
That all.
easily manage.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that all you configure with this ARM templates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yes. Yes, that managed identity thing in apart from that, the managed identity, throughout this managed identity, we can get a huge benefit of dealing with security aspects.
Yeah. Yes, if any others have a question, Madhuranga can answer them, or we can wind up. Mm, yes, seems like no questions. So thank you, Madhuranga, for this useful session, putting a lot of effort to prepare this thing and present it today. So thank you very much for that. And for the participants also, thank you very much for attending this session. I think we'll meet again in another session. Yeah, see you guys. Okay, thank you, Madhuranga. Yeah.
Okay, you're welcome. See you guys. Good evening.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Madhuranga.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Maduranga.